Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really interesting dynamic, something that feels almost contradictory. It's about the role of British and American English, right? In a world where, honestly, English is just exploding into all these diverse forms. Now, you'd probably think, okay, new English is popping up everywhere. Does that mean the old standards like British and American are sort of fading? But what we found in the source material suggests something else entirely, something pretty compelling, actually. So our mission today is to unpack why these standards, these foundational forms, still seem so central. Let's start there with that common idea. We see and hear English spoken in so many unique ways globally, Singlish, Nigerian English, you name it. Does that mean British and American English are losing their grip, becoming less important?
Well, here's the twist, and it's what our sources really highlight. The more diverse English gets around the world, the more essential British and American English seem to become. It sounds like a paradox, doesn't it?
It really does. How does that work?
Think about it. With so many variations, you kind of need a shared standard. A common linguistic ground for clarity, especially for international communication, in business, science, diplomacy. Consistency is just vital. They act as reference points.
Right, okay. So diversity creates the need for a shared standard, not the extinction of it. That makes sense. But let's dig into that power. Why these two specific forms? Why not others? Where does that lasting influence come from?
A huge part of it is what the sources call institutionalization. It's not really about saying they're better languages culturally. It's more about how deeply embedded they are in global structures.
Structures like?
Well, think about academic publishing. Getting published often means using one of these standards. Or international law, treaties, big contracts. Precision there relies heavily on these established forms. Then there's high-stakes testing, TOEFL, IELTS, SATs. There are gatekeepers, right? Based on American or British English.
And gatekeepers to universities, jobs.
Exactly. And global business communication, too. Clear, unambiguous language is crucial. It boils down to what the sources term functional utility. They offer tangible benefits, socioeconomic mobility, global access.
Okay, so it's less about history, maybe, and more about present-day usefulness. Practicality, that covers traditional systems. But what about, everything digital? The internet, AI, does that change the game?
Actually, it seems to reinforce it strongly.
Really? How so?
Think about the major online platforms, search engines, social media, even the AI we're all talking about, like large language models. They are overwhelmingly built, trained, and often operate based on standard British and American English.
Ah, so the code, the algorithms themselves.
Precisely. The sources call it algorithmic standardization. When you search online, use the translation tool, talk to a chatbot. The underlying linguistic engine is often defaulting to these standards. It's subtle, but it's everywhere online. It kind of cements them as the default operating system for a lot of the digital sphere.
Wow. Algorithmic standardization. So technology isn't disrupting this, it's actually amplifying it.
Okay, so if these standards are so embedded institutionally and digitally, what happens to all those vibrant local Englishes? Is it like a competition?
Not really a competition, no. The sources suggest thinking about it differently. They talk about surface diversity versus structural continuity.
Okay, break that down.
Well, on the surface, you have this wonderful flourishing of local Englishes. They express culture, identity, unique ways of seeing the world. That's the surface diversity. But underneath, the deeper systems education, global business, tech platforms, they still rely heavily on those traditional standards. That's the structural continuity.
So they exist together.
Yeah, it's described as layered coexistence. Local forms thrive alongside the standardized ones, which act as anchors for wider communication. The key idea here, and it's important, is interdependence, not replacement.
Interdependence.
Right, it's a mix. You maintain local identity, and you have access to these tools for global connection. It's not either. So wrapping this up. The big insight is that British and American English aren't just hanging on despite globalization.
Right.
Their centrality is actually reinforced by the very systems and diversity that characterize our globalized world.
Because they're baked into the infrastructure.
Exactly. They provide that essential common layer. And that leaves us with something interesting for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. How might this layered coexistence, this blend of diverse local Englishes and these powerful standard forms, shape the way we all communicate and understand each other across cultures, maybe in ways we don't even expect, in the coming years?